tabletop enthusiasts and roguelike lovers may just have a new game to sink their teeth into. What's up, nerds, and welcome to Endgame. I'm Hoops4, and today I will be giving you my review of Dark Quest III. Dark Quest III is a roguelite experience where you craft a team of 4 heroes and either win or die trying. A simple premise, sure. An equally simple presentation, also true. However, there is an impressive amount of depth to this role-playing indie. So without further ado, let's enter gaming.
Enter gaming.
Before I get any further in, I first want to say thank you to the wonderful people at Brain Seal Limited for letting me play their full creation early on PS5. I really appreciate it, you guys. Thank you for helping a new content creator out. So, I won't lie to you, Dark Quest III caught me a bit off guard. After all, as much as I appreciate a good role-playing game, this tabletop style didn't exactly appeal to me at first. However, I was quickly and happily surprised when the game exhibited a level of depth and polish I really didn't expect. The simplicity didn't remain a detriment for long. In fact, it became part of the charm and character of my adventure. The art direction here really deserves some credit. While at first I was apprehensive over how it looked, it grew on me. They really nailed the tabletop aesthetic, which is no doubt what they were going for. It enabled a great sense of immersion. And it is definitely a unique art style that may not immediately turn heads in the age of next-gen hardware. However, the art deserves plenty of praise for how it manages to enhance the atmosphere and overall experience in a way that I really didn't see coming. Moving past the art direction, it's the gameplay that is make or break for most roguelikes, and this is no exception. Once again, it took me a couple of runs to appreciate what the creators were going for, and once it clicked, it clicked. All of a sudden, I wasn't just going through the motions, and instead I was really and truly guiding a party of 4 heroes across lands of danger to either defeat the wizard or perish. Now, I do want to get my main complaint out of the way here, before I continue to gush about many aspects of this game. There really isn't a story here in the big picture. There's a generic setup about an evil wizard you are trying to stop, and that's basically it. Now, that is something that really faded into the background for me, since the minute-to-minute gameplay kept me invested in the here and now, more than the lacking overarching narrative. But, outside of the story, the gameplay had me entrenched. Every dungeon, with 13 available, is traversed by a randomized deck of encounters. These encounters can be good, bad, or anything in between. They vary wildly between attribute tests, battles, and pure randomized luck. The encounters are almost always characterized by a dice roll at some point, just like in true tabletop fashion. I have had good runs of luck where the dice is on my side, and I also had a great run ruined because I rolled a 1 and threw my strongest character off a cliff. So much for lucky dice. The enemy encounters are the most critical part of the gameplay loop, and these vary wildly from area to area, but this is where the game has a turn-based combat system. You take turns with the enemy, using abilities and basic attacks to take out foes and stand victorious. This is where playing on console feels a bit off due to development on PC first, but I will cover more of that in a minute. These encounters are the bread and butter of your experience, what all your upgrades, equipment, and party selection is for. There are so many possibilities and so many ways to handle these encounters that it never felt stale. It was a really engrossing strategy experience that changed drastically every single run.
Barbarian, test your perception. 7. You are no match for my magic. Who dares challenge me?
In order to be ready for these encounters, which can randomly include bosses, you have to have your party managed well. As you adventure with your party of 4, you are in charge of managing their HP levels, equipment, abilities, and basic attacks. Each of the unique 12 heroes in the game has 4 ability cards, a basic attack, and 4 attribute levels for strength, perception, agility, and intelligence. Throughout your journey, you will have the ability to upgrade basic attacks and abilities often, and these will shape your combat encounters. Additionally, you can pick up equipment to buff attacks, defenses, or any of the attributes which are important for attribute test encounters. I also mentioned boss fights, which are usually a bit more challenging than basic enemy encounters, unless you are having an especially crazy run that happens to counter the boss. These boss encounters are randomly drawn, just like any other card in the deck, so they can occur at any time in the current dungeon, meaning you can't always plan for them. And they are worth going for if you can get out with minimal losses, as they reward you with runes. These runes are incredibly powerful passive upgrades that are nearly necessary to have a good run. For instance, one of the early bosses rewards you with a rune that sees your party start every encounter with 1 armor. Given that physical damage is much more common than magic damage, the single mitigated physical damage on every character, every encounter, adds up quickly to leave your party with significantly higher HP levels than they would otherwise have. And, to be honest, saying all this out loud makes it feel like a lot to manage, but plenty of it becomes second nature as you do run after run after run. But it does show, once again, the surprising depth that Dark Quest III boasts. After all, you choose a party of 4 out of 12 characters, which all have 4 abilities. This leads to a ton of possible combinations, strategies, and implementations. Taking all this into consideration, you are now looking at many hours of incredibly replayable gameplay. And that's where Dark Quest III thrives, not only as a tabletop sim, but as an addictive roguelike. There is so much strategy here to evolve that it's basically replayable until you stop having fun with it. Before I carry on, if you made it this far, then please consider subscribing to the channel. I'm well on my way to my first 100 subs, and the intergaming community is growing rapidly, so don't miss out. Now back to the review. I will say there is a bit of a learning curve at first, as there is basically no instruction whatsoever. No tutorial, nothing. You pretty much get thrown in your first run and have to fend for yourself. So, fair warning. It took me a couple runs to figure out what was going on, and how to even properly work with the controls at hand. After playing on console for even a couple minutes, it becomes easy to see that PC was the main platform. Fast forward a couple more runs, and I adjusted to the slightly awkward controls to where it didn't bother me too much. Was it the most natural feeling? No, but it also wasn't a deal breaker. And after all, I am glad it came to console so I can enjoy it even better. Speaking of the PC platform, it's entirely possible you have come across this game before. Doing some research, Dark Quest III has been out on Steam in early access for a little over a year, starting on May 4th, 2022, and during that time it was known as Dark Quest board game. Over the year, the team at BrainSeal Limited has listened to player feedback to improve the game. On Steam, the early access version of Dark Quest III has accumulated a mostly positive rating with 97 reviews. From there, a good number of thumbs downs have to do with a lack of content in early access, something that is already remedied in the full release of the game. Although, even with the current additions, I feel like there is still more room to improve in that department. I wish there was a little more variety in encounters, more dungeons, and a couple more heroes on the roster. And now, the full release is here. Dark Quest III releases on May 24, 2023 on PC, and its first venture on all major consoles. It will launch at $18.99, which honestly feels really reasonable given the replayable nature of the game. So now, I suppose it's time to rate this surprising gem of a game. Going into Dark Quest III, I really didn't know what to expect, and I really wasn't convinced that I would enjoy my time with it. However, the surprisingly complex nature of the game, alongside the addictive roguelite elements and overall high skill ceiling, made me not want to stop playing. On the other hand, I would be doing a disservice to forget about the lack of overarching motivation, uncomfortable controls, and a little lack of variety. With everything into consideration, there is no doubt that this game is good, and honestly, on the verge of great. I am giving Dark Quest III a 7 out of 10. But if this is a game that really speaks to you, and if you look at this gameplay and say that's for you, I think you should go for it, because I think it will be a great use of your time and money. Thank you for watching. If you have any further questions about the game, feel free and ask me down in the comments, and I would love to help you out further. If not, let me know what your initial thoughts are after watching, or if you have played the early access, let me know what you think about it. I'll see you lot on the next one. Peace. Thank you for watching, right here on InGame. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more content.